All right, Kristi, bang for your buck, best and worst, Major League Baseball. It's all about the teams out there that, well, don't exactly have a big payroll, but are still doing a pretty decent job when it comes to, well, putting up the wins and versus losses. Now, obviously, I don't think there's really a surprise that on this list from Forbes, they happen to be talking about, well, the number one, Tampa Bay Rays. What do you make of the list year in, year out? You see different teams kind of go up there, but the Rays hanging steady with a bunch of wins and really competing still in the American League East, even with a very, very low payroll.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're able to do with their payroll, and not just this year, but for, the last however many years. And I fully expected to find them at the top of this list before I looked at it. They have an amazing farm system, and, I'm a huge baseball fan, and if anybody's read my work for very long, I'm really opposed to going to a salary cap in baseball. I like the way baseball works now. I like the massive revenue sharing. I want to see the NBA go to that instead of going to a hard cap, because I think they're going to go to one or the other with their current labor negotiations. And I like that teams have to be creative, and that if your owner isn't pumping in the kind of money that, say, the Yankees or the Red Sox are pumping in, you have to find other ways to make it work. And the way that I like to see is really strong farm systems. I grew up in Atlanta, and the Braves have long been known for having an incredibly strong farm system. Mm-hmm. And the Tampa Bay Rays have done it as well or better than the Braves have done it. And despite, routinely losing players that they've sort of raised as soon as these guys are eligible for free agency, there's always somebody in the wings right behind them waiting to come in, and I really enjoy watching what they're doing down there.
Yeah, it makes it fun, and it makes it interesting when you see other teams like on the bottom of the list, teams that, well, have a pretty decent payroll but don't spend anything. When we talk about that, guys like, or teams, excuse me, like the Chicago Cubs, absolutely awful, not to mention they're awful on the field, and they spend a ton of dough trying to do it.
They really, they're at the bottom of this list this year, and you just have to feel for Cubs fans after a while. Obviously they're having the same problem Red Sox fans were having before 2004. They haven't won a World Series in forever, and, they seem to think the way to do that is to throw cash at guys, but they're clearly not picking the right guys to throw it at.
Yeah, it's brutal to watch right now, because they were a team that really was a contender at one point in time, and they were starting to get very, very close, and then they just seemed to fall short.